Hey everyone, Carrie Beck here with Family eBiz, where we help families start and scale their online business so you can have freedom to do the things that you've been called to do. Today, we are going to continue a series that we just started last week, and that is just all about time management, getting things done over and over and over again. I have lots of you, whether you're in my mastermind or homeschool blogger network, or whether you're in our family eBiz group, it's like I'm not getting things done. I am totally overwhelmed with that to-do list. Last week, we talked about hacks, time management hacks. Today, we're going to specifically talk about being overwhelmed. How do we go from being overwhelmed to being organized? Before we dive into that, I would love it if you would subscribe to this channel or leave a review, depending on where you're listening to this. That would help us get this message out to more and more people who are looking for freedom in their life. So let's talk about moving from overwhelmed to organized. I have felt overwhelmed sometimes. I should have brought my to-do list. I look at that to-do list and I would go, oh my goodness, how do I get things done? I'm going to give you some of the tips of the things that I actually do. But do you ever feel like that? If you are in a place that you can leave a comment, leave a comment. Let me know if you ever feel totally overwhelmed with what is going on and you just don't feel like you can move forward because there are so many little moving parts when it comes to an online business. Or everything feels urgent. Let's be honest. There is a difference between the urgent tasks and the important tasks. We're going to talk about that in tip number one, but let's just go into this. Urgent means you feel like you've got to get it done now. Important means it is important. It may not get done, like it's going to take more than just your 15 minutes. I'll tell you one thing that keeps a lot of you urgent, and that is this phone. You're listening, you can't see it, but phones and those little red dots, those red dots, every time you get a notification, that's urgency. That's not important. Important should be the things that move you forward in your business so that you are making a profit. Social media and constant notifications really create a false sense of urgency. And you should not be saying yes to everything. You need to pull yourself back, and we're going to talk about some ideas to do that. So, how do we prioritize every when everything feels important? It really isn't. A lot of things are urgent. So let's talk about this. We're going to talk about something called the Eisenhower Matrix. Urgent versus important. Now, if you're listening, you're just going to have to imagine the grid that I am showing. Can y'all see that? So we've got a grid. It's a 4-square grid. On the left side is urgency, and on the right side is importance. Down here, it's not very urgent, and yes, it is up at the top. Important, it's not very important, but yes, it is here. So let's talk about things that aren't important and aren't urgent, okay? Most of us are just going to leave those alone, but every once in a while we get trapped into doing something that really doesn't even matter. Those are sort of the things maybe even around the house, but things that other people could be doing. So we don't really want to spend our time as an entrepreneur on things that are not important and not urgent. All right, let's go over here. Let's go up here. These are the things where a lot of you land. This is urgent, but it's not important. Can you think of some things like that? I will tell you, social media is one of those things. I would even say email is. Now, I do think email is important to respond to, but not every time it clicks in. If I had a notification on my phone every time I got an email, I would get nothing done. Those are the kinds of things that feel urgent. They feel urgent. They're not really urgent, but they feel urgent and they're not really important. They're not really profit-making things that need to be done. Now, let's come over here. I was trying to figure out these. Oh, here we go. These are not urgent down at the bottom, and yet they're very important. These are urgent and important. These are the two that you really, as a solopreneur, I'm sorry, there we go. Maybe that helps a little bit. This right here, urgent and important, you need to spend your time on. The ones you really need to spend your time on, maybe to start your day, things that are urgent and important all together. But don't call something urgent. I mean, don't call something important. This just feels like you got to get it done. Now, I have deadlines, and yes, those become urgent and important when I've committed myself to participate in a promotion. I have a promotion in my homeschool business that starts next week, but I've had to be turning things in last week and this week. There were deadlines, and yes, sometimes I wait till the last minute. And so those end up right here. They are important. They're due today. I got to get it done because I have a reason for participating in that promotion. And that is either to grow my email list or grow my sales. Now, some things are not real urgent, but they are very important. These to me are some of the long-term things that are going to take me a couple hours. Like tomorrow morning, I have a doctor's appointment, and then I'm going to go to the coffee shop, and I've got just maybe one or two projects. They're not like due today, but they're very important, and I need to get them done through the week. And so I will do that. Some of them have to do with the podcast. Some of them have to do with homeschool. Some of them have to do with family eBiz, especially when I'm planning an event. I've got an event coming up in August for the homeschoolers. And for them, I can't just wait till the day before and then throw everything out there. It is super important. It is usually 25% of my income. So I've got to look at that and make sure it's not urgent, like it has to be done today, but it better get done in the next day or two because I've got to get this out to people. So that's sort of where we are. That's the Eisenhower Matrix, urgent versus important framework. You need to sort your daily tasks into this framework. Which things are you feeling like they are, yes, urgent, but they're not important? Those are the ones you want to delegate to someone. Get someone else to start taking care of things, even the things that are not urgent and not important. Let someone else do it. You need to be focused on this side of importance. And I say there's two areas. The ones that are urgent, like you've got to get them done this week, yes. But ones that if you need to be working on those, and some of those important ones that we forget are like looking at our stats. And like right now, today's the last day of Q1. And one of the things I said I was going to do today, this year, is look at stats at the end of each quarter. So my goal is that by the end of this week, I've had time to go through and look at what's gone on. How did my ads do? How did my email list do? What lead magnets did the best? What items were selling the best? Or did something sort of flop? Yes, that flops, believe it or not. So that's Eisenhower Matrix, number one. Number two, the 3-task rule. I pretty much do this every day. You need to pick 3 key priorities. 3. You're really not going to get, you'll probably be lucky to get 2. This will keep you focused through the day and reduce the overwhelm, reduce the stress. So what do? Usually like today, I will look at my to-do list, the things that I need to do, and I will number 1, 2, and 3 on my to-do list. What are the 3 things I need to do tomorrow in that order? Today, for instance, I was working on podcasts a lot, and I had to follow up with my assistant who had been working on some things into last week. So my thing was like, get him ready so he can move forward in his tasks. I have got this podcast. I'm recording a bunch of podcasts today. And then lastly, I've got to get working on Homeschool Superheroes. That's this summer. Those were my 3 main things. Yes, I'll still get some email done. I still check social and I have to respond to people. But those are the 3 main things that I need to get done today. How do you decide where to get started? And if you don't have a way to decide, you are more than likely spending time right up here in the urgent, not important. We don't want to be in the urgent, not important. All right. So, urgent versus important. Number 2, the 3-task rule. And then number 3, batching and time blocking. Y'all probably all heard about this because hopefully you've learned that when we switch from one task to the next, it wastes energy and time. I wish I could remember back but it's something like you're working on, let's say I work on podcasts, and then I go work on homeschool superheroes, just because that's sort of where my brain is right now. It's going to take me 10 or 15 minutes just to get started in that homeschool superheroes when I move from one to the other. That's not a good use of my time unless I've really blocked out time. So what am I doing today? I have used AI to come up with some creative titles for my podcast. I have reviewed what Ross has sent me for my podcast. I have printed out my outlines and reviewed those for my podcast. And right now I am recording them. Everything goes around podcasts. And this is probably going to be for 3 or 4 hours. So batching and time blocking. Let me give you a few examples. Number one, Benjamin Franklin. He had daily time blocks. One thing he did, and I teach this with my Raising Leaders people, at the beginning, he was very productive. Obviously, he invented all sorts of things, wrote so many books. Every morning, he would ask, what good shall I do this day? And I teach my moms, you should be asking your kids, especially teenagers, what is it you want to get done today? What is the good thing that you need to do? There's your one thing. He didn't even have three, he just had one. And then he would schedule his time through the day so that he could get that done, focus on deep work, and take some breaks for rest and exercise. I go for a walk. I do some studying and journaling in the morning, but I make sure that I have breaks along the day. If I sit at my computer for more than 1 hour, really 30 minutes, that's not good. My back is going to tell me you sat too long. So in the morning, what shall I do? What good shall I do today? In the evening, what good have I done today? And it's the way you could work. What is the important thing or the good thing you need to get done today? And then at the end, go, what is it that I got done? That is going to get rid of some stress and overwhelm because you can start to sort of speak truth to your soul and say, I did get some things done. You type A people like me, check those things off. He was able to batch out his deep work and time block a routine of how he was going to work everything out. Benjamin Franklin. Number two, Henry Ford. Did you know when Henry Ford started making the cars or the automobiles, whatever you want to call it, one at a time? In 1913, he introduced the assembly line, which is sort of what you should be modeling your workday over. He batched out tasks, and it says, let me see, he dropped production time from 12 hours to 90 minutes. That was a little hard to believe. I need to go look that up. But 12 hours to 90 minutes, not only that, the cost went down. And it was more affordable for the middle class to be able to buy a car. His methods really set the standard for modern manufacturing and time efficiency. You may not have an assembly line in your house, but you probably do in your head or in your to-do list. You should have something like that, batching that repetitive time, blocking the time for specialized tasks like Ford did. It just allowed him to scale faster than his competitors. He really changed the world of transportation. And then the last example on batching is content creators. Batching success. I just mentioned why that I try to film at least a month's worth of podcasts all at one time. How does that help me? Well, one, I don't have to set all this up and lights and sound and recording and downloading and making sure I have all my notes. It's all in one day. Maybe you're a blogger, maybe you write more. And so you should set, and I will say when I am writing, blogs or books or emails, I batch those out, especially emails. I will sit down for a couple hours and batch out all the emails that I need to send for a promotion. It will help me save time and I am focused and I can review the stats from last time. It gets momentum going. It will reduce the stress because you're not having to flip flop all over the place. All right, so that's batching and time blocking. Let's go quickly through these last two. Do, delegate, delete. What are you going to do? What are you going to delegate? And what are you going to just delete and not get done? I would say the number one thing you personally need to be working on are the things in the important column. You've got to be working on those. Those should be profit-making tasks. In fact, I would say every day you should be working on one profit-making task. That may be only for 15 minutes, but make sure you are doing this. And then we need to delegate. How do we decide what to delegate? Things that you don't need to be doing, that are repetitive, that you could train someone and they can actually do that. That could be one of your kids. It could be a part-time worker where you live. It could be online somewhere. So, and then some things we just need to completely delete. There are some things that I don't do. Snapchat, no. TikTok, no. Would I like to? Yeah, that would probably be really good. I don't need to. I have enough things that I'm taking care of to follow through on and continue to have success. So do, delegate, delete. You've got to decide what they are and then protect your focus. You've got to protect your time that you're working, setting clear boundaries on time limits for yourself. I'm only going to spend 30 minutes on this. Or taking breaks from social media, clear your mind. Actually, I'm on a 3-day fast, not from work social media, but from personal. And I just think it's great because I'm going to have time in the evenings that I sort of, especially right before bed when I shouldn't be doing it, more time to read books, more time to pray and journal and do those things that I need to be doing. So, first off, Eisenhower method, important versus urgent, your 3-task method, what 3 things you're going to do each day, your batching and time blocking, and then we have do, delegate, delete method, and then protect your focus. Those are the 5 main things I think that can reduce the stress. Because when you set some boundaries about, I'm going to work at this time, and I even have people here that necessarily interrupt me. I'm sure if you're a work at home mom, you got plenty of them. But that is something like I still give myself boundaries about how long I'm going to work, when I'm going to work, where I'm going to work. And here's a boundary. I got a phone call right before I was going to start filming this from someone that I'm going to a retreat with on Saturday. And I almost thought, I'll answer. And I'm like, no, Carrie, you are in podcast focus mode. Stick with it. All right. So here's your challenge today. I want you to think about this Eisenhower method. Look at your to-do list and which things are urgent and which things are important, and make sure you start your day with the important ones. And come up with the 3 things that you need to get done tomorrow. That's it. Now, to help you think a bigger picture, I do offer a business marketing roadmap. It will help you gain direction and choose those important activities each day. FamilyEbiz.com/roadmap, but you can find them in the show notes as well. And it sort of helps you take a step back at the whole quarter and then at each month within the quarter. So you can sort of look at that, come up with some priorities and what's really important based on what promotions you're going to do, participate in, how are you going to grow your email list, and so on and so forth. The other thing, if you have not joined our Facebook community, please do. That link will be also in the show notes. Hey, thanks for spending time with me. I am Carrie Beck with Family eBiz. We'll talk to you next time.